Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's a good morning. It's a good morning. Today is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and I will be glad in it. Today is October the 22nd, 2024, and it is Tuesday morning, 7:02, and the weather here in Cape Coral is 72 degrees. The highest temp today will get to 87, and then it's going to drop back down into the high 70s. So today is a beautiful day, is the start of a beautiful day. The weather is getting to be so nice. The weather is getting to be so comfortable. And I'm thanking God for his grace. I'm thanking God for his grace. Good morning, Doris. Good morning. How are you this morning? How are you this Tuesday morning? And I want to say to you, Doris, I thank you so much for being such a loyal person that comes in the morning, and just to sit here and listen to me. Sometimes I feel like I be rambling, but just to get the thoughts out of my head and speaking them out loud. I thank you for being here with me, each and every morning. Thank you so much. And thank you to that person that's, you know, out there in the atmosphere somewhere looking at me as well. I thank you as well. It is a good morning. It is a very, very good morning this morning. I'm telling you, I am so well rested, and everything that was in my system is pretty much out. Gone, gone, gone. And that's why I cannot celebrate but once a year, really, really, really like celebrate, like had the drinks with the shots of Patron. And I tell you, yesterday, it wasn't a rough day because I only had those two drinks. However, it was a day where I say, I'm going to do absolutely nothing because on Mondays, that's what I do. Absolutely nothing on Monday. I don't even get dressed on Monday. And yesterday, I had clothes and shoes and couldn't decide which purse, couldn't decide what outfit just to wear. So I had a whole pile of stuff. So I threw all that stuff on the floor Sunday, and it laid on the floor Monday until about round about what 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And I couldn't stand to look at it anymore. So I folded up those things, put them up, hung them up, put the shoes back in the closet, put the purses back in the closet. Then I go in the kitchen and, I ate the rest of what I had got from a Master Crowd. I sat and ate that. And that sauce with all that garlic. And normally it does something to my stomach, but I like eating it because it cleans you out. And I did, y'all. I straightened up my house. I got a new plant for my house, for the apartment. And it's all the plant just fit in. So I want to go to, what is it? Ross. I saw a lady come out of Ross and a lady come out of Burlington. And I think that's Bales with these pictures. So I'm going to go back in the home furnishing part of those stores to find me some, see if I can find me some black pictures or just go online and order some because I love black pictures. So I want to start a new chapter, a new chapter in my life. And I'm on page 2 of it, starting today. Today is the 22nd, so there's a new something new to be written in the chapter of life for me today, and I thank God for it, and I thank God for His grace. And this is what my devotional from Charles Stanley is talking about for this week. grace, the miracle of grace, the grace of God, grace of God, the grace from God, the greatness of God, you know, um, and every day, every morning, every hour, in the 24 hours that we make, it makes to make a day, God extends some form of grace to us, whether it be in our actions, our deeds, in our speech. Sometimes God gives us such a immeasurable amount of grace, when we're thinking the wrong thing, when we're saying the wrong thing, when we're behaving in the wrong way, God is so merciful in not giving us what we deserve when we're thinking bad thoughts of other people, when we're plotting and we're scheming against others, and when we're just not being obedient and when we're just not doing things right. God extends a measure of grace to us. God, he gives us what we don't even deserve the grace of God because we are some unstable creatures. We are some, at times we could be misguided and so unforgiving, and we could be so treacherous and vindictive and conniving. And even through all of that, God extends us a measure of grace. And I sit down and I ponder on that sometimes. And then I say, Lord, I thank God that you're God and I'm not. I thank God that you're God and someone else is not. Because the grace that you extend to me, the grace that you extend to others, if someone else was in that position of being God, the world would cease to exist as we know it. And I thank God for that. Great. Thanks for sharing your story, experience, and your love, letting God use you. Thank you for that, Doris. Thank you. So, um, my birthday was Sunday. Yesterday I was after I like for I don't like a cluttered house. I don't like clutter. Even in my mind, I don't like a lot of things to be swimming around in my head at one time. Clutter. Because when I've been in homes and houses, apartments where it's so cluttered, people just like things, and every time you walk, you like bumping into something. And I don't like clutter because once I clean my house, I don't like to have to dust all that stuff. And I just don't like doing all of that. So I like space. I love for my house to breathe. I love plants, and plants, it just, it sets the tone for my day. The plants, the oxygen that the plants bring, the vibe that the plants bring. My daughter bought me this plant and she said, "You know what, Ma?" I said, "I'm not going to buy her roses because the roses would last only for a while." And she said, "I saw this plant." And she said, "Oh my God, that's it right there. I'm getting her this plant." She said, "Because I know how much you love plants. And I know you're going to talk to this plant. You're going to sing to this plant." And she said, "I remember one time I was getting ready to go out and I was getting ready to get in the shower. And I hear the shower running. And I look in the shower plants. I water my plants in the shower so the leaves could get wet and the soil, the water could just leak down into the soil that it don't get oversaturated. And when the leaves are wet and the soil get, just enough water and let it drain and then set it back out and just get the right amount of sunshine, it thrives. It thrives. And that's the way it is with life. When you get the right nutrients and the right love and the right care, you just thrive. And that's the way I liken it to a plant in life, because at the end of the day, we are all intertwined together. So I thank God for his grace. And, I thank God for showing me things through the elements, through the sun, through the moon, and through the, and just in the atmosphere. And my son brought this to my attention because he loves to listen to these podcasts about how we are one connected with the earth. And there's some trees and some shrubbery that's in my mom's yard. And, when I'm not wearing my hair slicked back in a ponytail, sometimes I would just shampoo it and let it dry and use that thing to um make it look like my hair is nappy. And he said, "Mom," he said, "have you ever noticed how some of the trees?" He said, "Look at that tree over there." He's saying, "Look at your hair." He said, "That tree in your hair." He said, "We one with the earth. We are one with the universe." And my son started making me think about things. And he said, "You see how that tree over there looks like?" Look like somebody got locked. I don't like to call them dreads. They have locks. And I start noticing that. And so when I go outside and I look at the clouds and I look at the trees and how everything is connected. Everything is connected, even like on the Lion King when they were talking about the circle of life. The grass is put here for the animals are put here for us, and we're put here for God, to give God the glory and to give God the honor, give God the praise, give God everything that we have, because everything that we have, we owe that to God. And what's so good about me? What is so good about me that God see fit to wake me up every morning? What's so good about me that God continually to bless me? Even. I must tell y'all this. On Sundays, I like to share my morning service with the atmosphere. I love to do that. And someone posts on my thing about I don't know her exact word, but she said, "Oh, the gist of it for me was that she was saying how you could post something and like you friends with Anthony and I guess she was blaming Anthony for what happened with Kiki and stuff like that." And I for a moment, for a split second, it blew me that someone can watch a service and then come to that conclusion to call me a demon. In a sense, this lady was calling me a devil because of my friendship with Anthony and because of what she perceived Anthony did to Kiki, for Kiki to pass away. And I thought about it and I said, how deranged can a person be? How uncouth, how uneducated, I don't like to call people stupid, but sometimes stupid is and stupid does, I guess. And I don't like call, because the Bible tells us that we don't even supposed to call people a fool. It's the foolish things that they do. And for me, it was her foolishness. I'm not going to call her a fool, but it was her foolishness. I don't judge nobody. I don't judge nobody in their walk with Christ. I don't judge nobody in their decisions to do whatever it is that they do. I don't stand in judgment. I do make observations about things. And we are allowed to judge a person's behavior. We are allowed to do that. And you know what? I don't even judge a person's behavior, because that person, I feel, at that time is doing only what they know how to do. And I am so glad, by being an only child and being born into the family that I was born into, that my family was always open for my great grandmother, great grandmother, grandmother, aunts, cousins, uncles. They didn't beat around the bush about what they had to say. They always came out and addressed it directly. It was no sweeping things under the rug. It was no hiding things. So that made it so easy for me growing up to be able to express myself, to use my words. And then being an only child, I learned how not to be a follower of foolishness. I learned how to be I always I always for some reason from a little girl, I always had my own mind and I always like to ask the question why. My grandmama used to get so angry with me sometimes because I would always say, well, why? And when I became was growing up and I would be in the kitchen with my grandma is cooking and I would, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, I would be in the kitchen where my mom is cooking and she would do certain things. And I said, well, why you do that? Why you tie the turkey legs and why you tie them together? Why you shoot the turkey up with butter and why you grease the turkey, why you grease the pan, and why you do this and why you do that, why you shred your own cheese instead of just buying shredded cheese. And it my mom would just answer every question. And so when I became an adult, I started shredding my own cheese to make macaroni and cheese. I started, I don't do turkey that much, so I never but then when I got a turkey, I would always tie the turkey legs up and stuff. And I did it because I saw my mom do it, and she said that would make it, not expand all over the pan. You tie the legs up and it stays. And then she shoot it up with butter and stuff like that, and oil the insides and the outsides. And she said shooting up with the butter makes the turkey more tender. And when you're oiling the turkey, greasing the turkey up. She says when you put your seasoning on, the season sticks, it don't fall. Also, when the turkey is cooking, all of that is just marinating together, and it makes for a flavorful, tender turkey. See, I asked questions because I always wanted to know. And I thank God for my mom and my grandma and my great grandma and my great great grandma. And it was just growing up, it was for me, it was so different. And I was always told to ask questions. And my great grandmother, her advice to me when I was a little girl, she would say, when you talking to someone, she said, you look at them when you're talking to them. She said, you never hold your head down when you are addressing a person. And when someone is talking to you, she said, you stand there and you hold your head up and you look them directly in their eyes. And I said, well, why? She said, but for one thing, when you are holding your head up, that's showing that you got dignity and that you're not afraid of nothing that they're saying. And when you look into a person's eyes when they're talking to you, directly in their eyes when they're talking to you, my great grandmother said, the eyes are the window to the soul, are the windows to the soul. And you could pretty much, when you look into a person's eyes when you're talking to them, you can tell when they are lying, you can tell when they are truthful, you can tell when they're being deceitful. And and when you're looking at a person in their eyes when you're talking to them, and your head is held up and not down, and you're not making all those motions moving all around, and you're standing still while you're talking to a person. I'm not saying that it puts fear in them, but it puts respect. It makes them respect you because it makes a person feel like you can see right through them. You can see through their lies. You can see through their deceitful and their vindictiveness. You can see through all of that. And when you're looking at a person in their eyes, they have a tendency of not being able to stand that. They have a tendency to either look away or walk away or say something really stupid or asinine. So, I thank God for the lessons of life that has been taught to me. And I thank God for the lessons of life that I had to go out there and learn, by you putting your hand in the fire, you gonna get burned if you don't get it out. You put your hand in the lion's mouth, you can't snatch it out. You got to ease it out. And some things you have to walk away from. You have to walk away from the stupidity of people sometimes, because people, we are such unstable creatures, and we are creatures of habits. And I thank God that, for the sense that He has given me. Book sense, going to college, getting them degrees, that is a good thing. But my daddy said, book sense are only good in the classroom. He said the best thing about having sense, life experience combined with the book sense, common sense, street knowledge. Everybody, wasn't in the street. Everybody wasn't out there in the world. However, at some point, you got to have some common sense. And I realized as I began to get older, and I just used to like to sit down, because that's when I learned how to enjoy being with myself, just being by myself when I was growing up. Didn't have a lot of friends. And at some point in my life, I didn't want a lot of friends. I had my cousins. So they were friends enough, because you go through a lot of stuff with your cousins as well. I had my friends, and I had my cousins, and I had a couple of friends. I had about five good friends, that I can say that were friends. And I would sit and I would just observe people. I would be, like go to parties and stuff like that. And I would just not no wallflower. I knew how to enjoy myself. However, I knew just to sit down and, sometimes just walk around or stand around with a group. But my eyes was always moving. I was always watching. I was always watching. And I can remember we had a revival at church one Friday night, and this prophet lady had come, a prophetess. She had come, and I even though I was in the church, I was a babe in Christ. I was skeptical about those type of things, about people, you know, talking about, oh, you this and you that and you gonna, and I was really skeptical about that. And and I was seeing how this lady would, people were coming up and she was touching them and they was falling all down. And I was just sitting there going, I don't know about that. So I would never forget that night, because me and my friend girl, we were just trying to find something to do. Even though we were in the church, we were trying to find something to do. We had went out and had dinner. We had a couple of drinks at dinner, laughed, talk. And then she said, girl, they have a revival at church. Let's go to church. So I said, okay, we ain't got nothing else to do. So we go to church, and and we sit where we sit. She sit where she sit, and I sit where I sit, because I was so used to sitting there, it don't matter. So I sat there and she sat where she sat. And I had on a light blue turtleneck sweater and a jean skirt. So everybody just walking up there, and I'm trying to say, okay, Lord, I'm trying to get this relationship with you. I want this relationship with you. But the things that this lady is doing and the things that she's saying to these people, it's I'm kind of on the fence with it. A part of me want to believe it, then a part of me saying, no, that ain't true. That ain't true. That can't happen. And this, that, and the other. So she was just touching people and it was falling off. So I said, you know what? I'm finna get up and I'm going to the bathroom. So when I went in the bathroom, not really having to use the bathroom, but because she had started calling people up to the front and stuff like that. And when I'm in church, I don't like to be called out like that. I don't like, sometimes when the pastor said calling your name, for me, that's so embarrassing. Whatever I did, I did it from my heart, and nobody else don't need to know about it and stuff. So I went to the bathroom and I came back. So I sat to the back of the church because I didn't want this lady calling me up there and stuff like that. I ain't wanting her touching me, because I have issues when people touch me and stuff. I feel like you putting some kind of spirit on me when you touch me. And so The lady, I sat to the back, and people were just going up for her to do whatever she was doing, praying and touching. So I sat to the back. So when I sat to the back, she called my friend up. And she was telling my friend, she said, I can blow you out right now, right? She said, I know some of the things that's going on with you, right? She said, but I ain't gonna say nothing in front of everybody. I'm gonna whisper some things in your ear. So she whispered in my friend's ear, then she looked up, and I was sitting to the back. And then I'm at the back of the church, and they ain't nowhere for me to go. The wall is there, and then the door, and I'm looking back. She looking at me, and I'm looking back to see who she was looking at. There wasn't nobody back there but me and the wall. So the lady said, "You." Then I'm looking back at who's she talking to. Not everybody looking back. I said, "Well, who is she talking to?" So the lady said, "You." I'm pointing at me. She said, "You the only one sitting back there with that light blue turtleneck on." She said, "Come here." And so I'm walking up. I said, "Oh my God." Because I had already been in the bathroom and said, "Lord, please don't let this lady call me up there. Please do not let this lady call me up there." So the lady called me up there, and I'm walking up there. She said, "You might as well walk a little faster." So I'm walking up there, everybody looking at me walk up there. So she said, "I want you to stand directly in front of me." She said, "Because you love looking at people in their face. You love looking at people in their eyes." She said, "When you look at people, it's like you're looking at their souls and stuff." She said, "So I want you to stand right in front of me, and I want you to look me dead in my eyes." She said, "Look at me in my eyes." And then so I'm standing there and I'm looking at her, and she said, "You know what? I want you to back away from me." And then she said, "Close your eyes." She said, "You see too much." She said, "You see too much. I want you to stand over here on my right side. Stand over here on my right side." So I'm standing. So I'm thinking this lady getting ready to tell me something else and talk to me. So she just was calling people up, and they was just falling all out. So she said, "The reason I wanted you just to stand over here," she said, "that you have something in you that you are stifling, and it's not even ready to come out yet." She said, "You see too much, and sometimes you know too much." And she said, "God got assignment for you. You don't understand. You don't even understand what I'm saying right now." She said, "But God has an assignment for you." And she said, "You gonna be in somebody's church, and you are gonna be telling the world something about God." And so that was like when my children, my daughter, I think my daughter maybe had been about 14, 15 years old, and now my daughter is 30, 37. My daughter is 37, and my son is damn near 50, and my baby boy just turned 30. So that was what, like 15 or so years ago, maybe 15, 16 years ago, that this lady was telling me. And now I one of the elders in the church, she always telling me, "Marita, you're gonna be preaching God word." And I be saying, "Don't say that. Don't say that." I said, "Cause I don't want to be a preacher. I don't want to be married to a preacher." I said, "I like where I am, doing what I do now. Just being in Sunday school, talking, being in Bible school, talking, and that's pretty much it. I'm not. Don't put that on me. Don't do that to me. Don't. I don't want it. I don't want that." But then when the YouTube thing came, and I'm still not preaching God's word. I'm just telling you what God done did for me, how good and merciful and gracious God has been to me through the things that I've been through, you know, didn't know nothing about God, out there doing the drugs and, having them whole like tendencies at time. And sometimes being a straight out hoe, sometimes not caring about nobody. It was all about me. I didn't care about what nobody say, still don't. Didn't care about how nobody feel, how if I hurt your feeling, it didn't matter to me. Life just did not matter to me. Life wasn't as precious as it is to me now, because the things I know now, I didn't even want to recognize that, because I was out there living the type of life I thought that was pleasing to me. And it was pleasing to me because I enjoyed doing the things that I was doing. If it was up to me. Now I don't think I know I can't go back out there because that's a death sentence for me. And the drugs that they got now, I know it would have been a death sentence for me. The way people are falling out with this fentanyl we live in a world right now where nobody cares. Very few people care about each other, and people get angry and upset and want to hurt you over if you driving. I have learned, even driving, if a person want to go around me, hey, go around me, because I'm gonna meet you at the red light. I ain't gonna argue with you. I ain't gonna speed up. I ain't gonna do none of that, because I don't know what that person in that car next to me is going through. Maybe they got a death sentence or death with which on their hand, and they don't care about taking me out. And then, even in the grocery stores now, I'm so mindful when I go to the grocery store. I'm mindful when I go to Target. I'm mindful when I'm walking in the mall, because you just don't know. And then when I go to the school where my granddaughter is, and I be saying, well, damn, there's a gate around the school. Before you can get in the school, there's an officer right there to stop you. Before you even get in the school, there's an officer sitting in a little house right there. What are you here for? Who are you here for? I'm here to pick up my granddaughter. What's her name? Your name on the sign-out sheet. All of this before I get in the school. And then when I get in the school, I got to be buzzed in the school. And when I'm buzzed, before I'm buzzed in, what's your name? Your name. Okay, you got to see if my name is up on the pickup in case of emergency list. Then I got to take out my ID, put it in front of the camera so it can make sure I am who I say I am. Then you're going to ask me the same questions when I'm buzzed in again. And that's the type of world that we're living in right now. However, God still exists. He's still extending that measure of grace and that measure of mercy. And in my reading this morning, it was just the miracle of grace. And grace is God giving us something that we don't deserve. We don't deserve the grace that God has given us because we are disobedient. Some of us are so disconnected. Some of us are so vindictive, and we so resentful, you know, and don't mind hurting a person with our actions, with our words. There's a song that we sang in church. I pray for you, you pray for me. And then I won't hurt you with words from my mouth. I need you, you need me. And we need each other. We need and God, no man is an island and no man stands alone. Everybody needs somebody, and there's somebody for everybody. You just got to find your somebody. You got to find your tribe. And whoever your tribe is, it's good to sometimes step out of the box. And that's what I'm doing here on YouTube. I'm stepping outside the box because normally I sit back and let a person tell me everything they want to tell me about themselves. And then they say, well, what about you? Then I ask, well, what about me? I'm a mother, I'm a child of God, and I'm a grandmother. Okay, what else you want to know? Well, what you done did, what you do? I'm a mother, I'm a child of God, and I'm a grandmother. That's what I do. That's who I am. But don't you, what else you do? What I do, I don't do nothing. I read, I write, and I do craft. I make bracelets, so that's pretty much it with me. Well, what you do for fun? You don't go out, you don't hang out. I go to church, I go to movies. I like the window shop every now and then when my coins are matching. I can go inside the store, and I'm a loner, so I like doing things by myself. And when I do things with people, that I'm around a crowd of people, it makes me nervous being around a crowd of people, and I always got to know where are all the exits, where, and I never sit with my back towards the door. I always got to see who coming, and I always got to see who going. So that's pretty much what it is with me. So and I was listening to Pandora this morning, and I love Tamala Mann. It's just something about her singing, and she was singing this song, Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Just giving God the praise, because hallelujah is the highest praise that you can give God. Just giving God some thanks and giving God the glory, and just thanking God. Because yesterday I wasn't, I don't know if I was hungover. I didn't have a headache, but I just didn't have enough energy to get up and want to do nothing. However, I did. I got up and I straightened up my place, and so my house can breathe, and my house like to smell good. My house like to look good. My house is a reflection of who I am. So I did all of that, and I tell you, and I woke up this morning and I just stood in my bedroom doorway, and I just looked and I just thank God. When you've been through a lot of things, and I would have never thought in my life that I would be at the place that I am now, because I was so low. I was on the surface of hell one time, and just to look how God has picked me up and elevated me, and the things that God has done for me, and the things God is doing for me, and the blessings that are waiting for me now. God don't make a way. God is the way. The way has already been made, and that's just God showing some grace, and God showing some mercy. And that's why I will not allow people to dictate my feelings. I will not allow people to dictate my thoughts. I have to stop myself sometimes and pause, because reading some of the comments that people say sometimes, I just want to go in. But God said, what? I pulled you out of that. So why would you want to go back into that? And then you know what? People got the right to say whatever they want to say about you. People got the right to say it. People got the right to say what they want to say about you. They got the right to think what they want to think about you, and they got the right to think right and say whatever they want. That ain't none of your business. It's what you answer to. Is what you answer to. I know I'm not a demon. I know I'm not a whore. I know I'm not a crackhead. I know I'm not any of those things. So I don't answer to that. I don't bend down to get to nobody level. You got to rise up and come to mine. And then when you come to mine, I might change your mind or change your way of thinking. Because 67 years of living has taught me some things, and I know when to be quiet. I know when to speak out. And turning 67, I'm telling you, what a difference a year makes. What a difference a year make. And I want you to do self inventory on yourself. Your last birthday. And if your birthday has already passed, look at your birthday in 2023, and then your birthday in 2024. You went through something in that year's time. You went through something. So going through something, you learned something. You either learn how to stand up more for yourself, you learn how to be stronger, you learn how to be more assertive, you learn how to bike when it was time to bike it up. You learn how to bike that thing up. You learn how to be more expressive. You learn how to be more compassionate. You learn how to be more understanding. And then there was some things you say, I'm not going to allow that anymore. I'm not taking that anymore. I'm moving on from that. I'm moving forward. I'm breaking away from that. So in a year's time, you learn something. When you're going through life is a series of lessons. It's a series of lessons. And if you do not learn the lesson that life is trying to teach you, you will continually, year after year, month after month, day after day, minute after minute, second after second, you'll keep repeating the same thing all the time. You keep and then you're wondering why nothing is changing. If you change, if you don't change, nothing is going to change. I learned that in rehab in my sessions. It was saying if nothing changes, nothing changes. And the change begin from within. You got to change your mind. You got to change your heart. When your mind and your heart is changed, then you begin to change. Begin to walk different. You begin to see things different. You begin to hear things different. And you just it's just a different, you just have that different attitude. Not saying because that old nature is still there. That old nature is still there reminding you, trying to come up every now and then. And sometimes when I see people going through things, and when I hear people being nasty and being vindictive and being corruptive and disruptive, they are warring with themselves, but it's projected on someone else. What is really happening, there's a storm raging inside of them, and they are fighting within themselves, and that old nature is winning. That nature of jealousy, that nature of deceit, and they're in such turmoil, but they wear such a pretty face. If you have time today, if you have time today, read in my morning devotion, it was talking about transformation, being transformed from the inside, and read Matthew 23 in its entirety. And the key verse is Matthew 20. The key verse is 20, Matthew 23. Read it in its entirety to get an understanding from it. But you may get different key verses because I get more than one key verse out of it. But the key verse is 25, verse 25, and say, you clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and indulgence. That's the NIV version. I like to read the NIV. I like to read the King James, and I like to read the Standard Version, because there's each version, the King James, and then the NIV, and then the Standard Version. It breaks everything down to even a simpleton could understand. And what it's saying, you walk around here looking so pretty on the outside. Her hair did, nails done, toes did, eyebrows on point, eyelashes on point. The face is beat to the gods, but you just as nasty and dirty and stinking and filthy. You got a cold, dirty, nasty heart. Your mind, you're always thinking of devious things and plots. You're always plotting and scheming, against somebody and stuff like that. You dirty in the inside, but you're all clean in the inside, looking all pretty and saying the right things, and you smell like canvas beauty with Yves Saint Laurent perfume. You smelling all good with a $900 bottle of perfume and canvas beauty. You're looking good and you're smelling good. You're trying to hide something. You're trying to hide something. And when I see people behaving like coming against people, and I never got nothing good to say about nobody, then I'd be saying, you know what, something going on with that person. That person is such turmoil. There's a war that's going on in that person. They can't see no good in themselves, so they don't see no good in nobody else. They don't see no good in nobody else. And just when you have time today, read Matthew 23, and it talks about being clean, all pretty on the outside. You don't wash the dish, you don't wash the cup, wash the coffee stains from all around the outside of the cup. But when you ain't even touched the inside of the cup, and it still got some little coffee grinds, or the little sugar grinds, it still got a little bit of that in the inside. So sometimes, most often time, We have to take self inventory, especially when you start feeling a certain type of way, and you don't understand. Okay, why am I feeling like this, and why am I being so negative? It's time to see what's going on in your own life. It's a cat on the line. It's a dead cat on the line somewhere. So self inventory is always good. It's always good to take, because if God extends mercy to you, that's why I have to be merciful to other people. And when God extend that grace to me, I have to extend a measure of grace to others as well. God ain't nowhere in the Bible, there ain't nowhere in God's word he told us to be stupid. Ain't nowhere in God's word have he told us to be foolish or ignorant. He said, I will not leave you ignorant. So God don't want nobody walking around here looking stupid and acting stupid, doing foolish things. So he extends mercy, mercy, and do his mercy endures forever. His grace endures forever. So in my reading this morning, there's a lick, I feel like every time something come up, it's being directed at me. When I listen to music, when I listen to Pandora, when I listen to my gospel on Pandora, the songs that's the songs that come out, the songs that are being played back to back, one song and then another song, it's ministering to me. It's telling me something. It's something I need to know. And when you open up the word of God, sometimes I don't even know where I'm going to go in the word of God. I just open my Bible and say, Lord, whatever it is that you want me to learn today, please, whatever message you got for me today, please direct me to where it is that you want me to be. Sometime it'll be in Philippians. Sometime it'll be in Revelation. Sometime it'll be in Second Kings. Sometime it'll be in Genesis in the beginning. Sometime it'll be in Job where I want you to get patience. Sometime it'll be in Psalms where he tell me I'll walk you through the valley of shadow of death and you ain't got to fear no evil because I'm with you. And then it tell me by praising God, pray, pray without ceasing. Pray without ceasing. And then sometimes it'll take me into Matthew where to tell me about, okay, the family that Jesus came through, the lineage of Jesus and the birth of Jesus and the death and the resurrection of Jesus. It'll just take me there. And it's something in every book of the Bible. There's something. There's a message. There's a message in the book. I love the book of Ruth. I love the book of Ruth. And I love the book of Esther. And I love the book of Ephesians. And I love the book of James. I love the book of James. I love the book of James. I love the book of Philippians. And I love the book of Ephesians because Ephesians show me how to get dressed in the morning before I get dressed. Before I step out in the world, I'm double dressed. I have on my full armor. Then there's, the way I present myself to the world. And God tells me, you know what? You're more than a conqueror. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. So when people start calling you names and saying things about you, who reports are you going to believe? Who report are you going to believe? That's why when I go in the bathroom in the mornings to wash my when I was working, to get ready to go to work in the morning, I would stand to the mirror and I would say, you everything that God has ordained and predestined you to be. There's only one name that you answer to, and that is your name. You don't answer every call because every call is not meant for you to answer. You were wonderfully, marvelously created. And God said everything He made was good and very good. And you one of those things. So it matters not what the world says, it matters what God says. And that's what I am listening to. Um, what God says. And my hope is not in people, my hope is in God. So, that's where I am being transformed. I want my insides and my outsides to look the same. I want them both to be the same. So I ask God to transform me. I ask God to make me over. I appreciate the grace of God. I appreciate the mercies of God. I appreciate God in his greatness. I appreciate the things that the Lord has done and the Lord is doing, and what the things that God is getting ready to do. I appreciate all of that. I appreciate all of that. Good morning, Miss Bugs. Good morning, Desiree. I appreciate you ladies being here this morning. Thank you so much for being here. And Desiree, you still spreading God's word through YouTube. You give us your testimony, what God has done for you. You give us scriptures. You're spreading God's words. I am encouraged. And that's the only reason I come in the morning. Just like I said, sometimes I go by every now and then, I go back and look at, maybe at the end of the day, I'll go back and look at and say, well, how many people I had? Sometimes I had 18, and then, and when I get to 25, I'd be feeling like I done spoke to about 25,000 people. And this morning I was saying to God, I was praying, just having a conversation to God, because I like to talk to God looking out the window when the sun is just when light is just bursting into darkness a little bit. I love to just see that. I like to see the crack when the sun is just peeping out, the light is just peeping out, and then how when the light just come and the darkness just goes away. I like to spread lightness and stuff like that. And even sometimes when I'm talking with Anthony and Mildred and Michelle, and when we're on what we call a conference call, when we are all talking together, and I just love our how camaraderie. I love how we encourage each other, and a lot of things people will never know about what we talk about, because we don't talk about what's going on in the YouTube world. Sometimes we'll talk about it, but we don't talk about it to a great extent. We talk about what's going on in each other's life. We encourage each other, and we are open with each other. And I know, I've in my spirit, I feel as if something is wrong, that we will always be able to talk about it. Because I remember something had came up about something that somebody had said, Anthony had said. And so I'm going to ask you one time, did you say it? And if you say you didn't say it, then who am I to question you any further? Because only you and God know really what you said. And I'm okay with that, because I have a discerning spirit, and I know God. I'm a child of God. I know that. I may not act like it all the time, and I may have not act like it all the time. However, I do know when God see me, when I'm about to walk off a cliff, I know I got enough word in me, and I know that God sees me, and I know that God has enough compassion and love and care for me. He's gonna yank me off that cliff, and I'm not gonna go over that cliff. So when people are saying things about me, when people, have, some I have seen, sometimes I have seen things and didn't understand why I was saying it. I have heard things and didn't understand why I was here, and then soon and very soon something will come, or someone will come and say, well, I just got to tell you this. And then when they telling me, I say, you know what, I already knew. God had already illuminated me with that. He had already shined the light on that. So there's a lot of things that people don't. Sometimes I know things people don't think I know, and then when they say it, I say, "Oh, I knew that. I knew that." And then they look at me like, "How you know that?" Because it wasn't told but to a few people. I said, "I knew it." That's all you need to know. God showed me that. God showed me that, and they look at me. I may can't say verbatim what the plot was, what the scheme was, or what was said. I said, but I knew something was said. I knew something was said. And when I say that, then they start telling everything. They start telling everything. And I said, you know what? Sometimes I don't even like listening to people because I would tell people, girl, what, but this what was said. This, and I say, no, I stop them right there. Don't tell me about what nobody said, because that was a conversation that you and that person or whoever else was around, that was a conversation that y'all had. If it was for me, then I would have been there. Just like when people are talking about you and stuff like that, you can't stop people from talking about you. You can't stop a person from feeling what they feel about you. You cannot stop that. You have to continue being the person. You have to continue to be true to who you are. You have to be true to what you know about you. If somebody calling you this and you know you're that and you're not that, you don't get angry about it. You don't get angry about it because that's not you who they're talking to. And I tell people, don't come and telling me nothing what nobody said. First of all, you calling yourself being my friend, how you feel comfortable and how do they feel comfortable enough to say something about me, and they saying something about me and you not taking up for me. So, don't tell me about what they said because it don't matter about what they say. I'm telling you, that's why I used to stop and not want to read the comments. But now I really enjoy reading the comments, even the comments that's not favorable to me. I like reading those comments because somewhere in there I can pick something up or pick something out and say, okay, I may need to work on that. I need to check myself with that. But when you start calling me demon and you talking about God, but you friends with Anthony, okay, when Jesus walked the earth, he didn't walk with the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He got out there he didn't you know go to the palace and be hanging all out with the king and all the concubines and the queen and all the people. Jesus was walking the streets with the whores, with the prostitutes, with the drug addicts, with the dope dealers, with the thieves. And, Jesus was walking among the people. He was walking among the people. He wasn't, trying to change the Pharisee, the Pharisees' mind and the Sadducees. The Pharisees and the Sadducees, those were people that thought they knew everything, that they had more sense than everybody because they the ones setting the rules, setting the laws. Thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that. And Jesus came to just make the way make the way clear, to give you a better understanding, to give you a different understanding of way things is. You don't have to be that way. You don't have to be nasty and rude and stuff like that just because somebody else is that way. And my great grandma and my grandma always said you could catch more flies with honey and sugar than you can with vinegar. And I never understood that. I never understood that. However, soon and very soon and by, I learned what that meant. I learned that I learned exactly what that meant. Be yourself. Be your authentic self. You ain't got to get out there and curse and be pulling your finger and doing a dance, shaking and all that old kind of stuff when you're trying to tell a person who you are and what you are about. I'm never gonna argue with a person about who I am and what I'm all about. That's an argument I'm gonna always pass away, pass by. And if I said it one time, if I said it to 10 people, if I said it to 20 people, if I said it to one person, I can always come back and say the same thing I said before. I'm never going to change that. I'm never going to change that because that's who I am and that's just what I do. And that's why I say I'm honored to be in the family that I'm in. And I'm honored to be named Maritha after my great grandma because that woman, ooh, that woman, that woman, that woman, that woman, that woman, that woman. My great grandma did not play the radio. My great grandma did not play the radio. I'm the same way. I ain't gonna beat all around the bush to say something that needs to be said. And if it don't need to be said, I ain't gonna say it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat nothing. I'm not gonna pacify nobody. I'm just not gonna give you frivolous words. I'm just not gonna uh just be taught, oh, you look so good, and know damn well you don't look good, you don't sound good, you don't smell good. So I'm not that type of person. However, I thank God for again for his grace and mercy for taming my tongue somewhat, taming my tongue. And I thank him for the transformation. I work daily for my outside to look like my inside. And I have walked away from a lot of things that could have been very disruptive to me, could have been destructive to me. I have walked away from it. I have learned some of the lessons that life has tried to teach me. I have learned. I am still learning. It's a process, it's an ongoing thing. I have learned and I am learning. I'm continuing to learn. And that's the good thing about life. We learn something new every day, if not every day, every month, every week, every year. So look, take self inventory. I look back from October 2023 to now October 2024. And I have that faith sometime when it's needed as the size of a mustard seed. I have that. And I believe what God says. I do. I honestly believe in God's word. And I trust God. I've learned and I'm learning how to trust God more and more and more. I'm having, I'm learning how to have faith. You know, faith is nothing but climbing them stairs and you don't really know where you're going, but you're going to trust God to get you where it is that you don't even know where you're going, but God is going to get you there. God is going to get you there through faith. If God send you out, he's going to protect you while you're out there and you're going to get to the right destination. You're going to be hooked up with the right people because, see, right now, your name, you probably went up for a job. You probably went to the doctor and had some kind of test done. You know, you may be even looking for a job. There may be things going on in your life that you feel like you don't even have any control over. But you know what? There's a conversation between God and someone else that can help you. And the help that you need, the desires of your heart. God is talking to those people right now. God is softening somebody's heart. That job, that promotion, it's on the way. It is on the way by God's grace and his mercy. Or by his grace and his mercy. And the things that you feel like you wanted and don't get them, don't get angry about it. And it may feel like God is saying no, 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 because you're not getting an answer or you didn't get the answer that you wanted to get. Remember this, God is protecting you from something. God may be have you in a holding pattern right now. He didn't say no. He said, just be still for a moment. Just wait for a moment. I don't know how long that moment is going to be. Only God knows that. We always say, and we say these, God is an on time God. God is an on time God. So if you feel like God is an on time God, if you didn't get that yes that you wanted right away, maybe that was not the thing for you because everything that is for you is coming to you. Everything for you is coming to you. And just trust God just a little while longer. Just hang in there just a little while longer. Because you know what? As I always say, today just might be that day that you're going to get the desires of your heart. You know, your name is in somebody's head right now because God has put your name, your face in somebody's head, in somebody's heart right now. God, prayer don't change things. Prayer change conditions of things. Prayer change conditions. And where you just say, I just can't take this no more. I am not going to keep on going through this. I just can't take it no more. See, God working on somebody on your behalf. God is working on something on your behalf. His grace, His mercy. We're not worthy of His grace. We did, and we're not worthy of the mercy that He extends, because God is who He is, and that's just what He do. He love us. He have compassion for us, and God don't play about none of us. God don't play about none of His children. God show favor on all of us. Favor sometimes seems like we sprinkle with a little more nutmeg or a little more cinnamon, but a little more flavor. Some seem like sometimes more, some of us have more flavor than the other. God ain't nobody in the kingdom of God is bland. None of God's children are tasteless. We all got favor. We all got favor. God favored me this morning. God favored you this morning. God favored us this morning. And I hear people say favor ain't fair. No, favor ain't fair, but it sure feel good. It sure feel good. So, as always, let's extend the grace that God is giving you, extending you. Extend that grace to somebody else. The measure of mercy that God is extending you, sh- show that same mercy to someone else. Get out your feelings. Get out your feelings. And one thing my pastor hates, no, I'm not gonna say hate. One thing my pastor don't like to hear me say is, "Well, I was in my I said I was in my feelings about that." He said, "Get out your feelings." Why were you in your feelings about that? Get out your feelings. And when you move feelings out the way, when you move your emotions to the side, you can see things more clearly. You can extend that grace. You can extend that mercy. You could be merciful to a person. And being merciful to somebody that done said something about you and did something negative or wrong towards you, when you extend that mercy to them, do you know what that does? That is like if you listen to God's word, when you read God's word, I like when I'm reading, it's like I'm looking at a movie in my head. And reading the word of God and hearing the word of God, when I hear like heaping coal onto somebody's head, do you know how hot coal is? And you putting that in the top of their head. And I take God's word so serious sometimes, you know, um, and just by visualizing some of the things, being merciful to a person. And then even when you're being merciful, when you can just punch them out, just catch them by the throat and try to squeeze the breath out of them. But you extend that mercy, you extend that grace to them, giving them what they don't, giving them something that they don't even deserve. You do not deserve this. Me extending this grace to you, you don't deserve it, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. How that'll make you feel and how that'll make them feel as well. Because when you want to do something and you don't do it, that's the best feeling in the world. Because see, you're gonna either end up in jail or in the hospital. Because when I hear people talk about, I'm gonna beat your, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and I always say, well, what am I gonna be doing while you standing up there beating my arse? What I'm gonna be doing? Just standing up there letting you do that? Because I fight back. I fight back. And I don't fight fair. When I was out there in the street, I didn't fight fair. I'm biting, I'm cutting, and I'm stabbing. Because if I ain't got no ice pick, I got a razor. And that was just what it was. That's just what it was. So just for the day, the same measure of grace and mercy that God is extending to you, let's extend that to someone else. We could be in our feelings for a split second. I ain't saying deny your feeling about everything, but you know what? Sometimes be in your feeling, but most of the time, don't let your feelings dictate which way you're gonna go. You got to sit there and think about it. I be seeing these little things like on YouTube and TikTok and say, now, if I hear her in the face with this. I didn't think about it when I hit that lady in the face with that pistol while I was at work. I didn't think about that. I just did it. But doing that, I went to jail. I was on probation. I was on house arrest. And then I ended up in prison. You know, I was on probation already for drugs. And now I'm on now that my probation is being added for hitting the violated probation and hit this lady in the face with a pistol. Now I'm home. I got to be home. What they call there, being at probation at home, can't go nowhere but to work, home and church and to the store. Got to let somebody know where I am at all times when I get ready to leave. And then I ended up in the best place in the world for me at that time, prison, where there were people that I was locked up with people that really did some crimes. That really did some crime. Then get out, live good for a while, get right back into the same thing again, and go to jail. And once again, I'm locked up with people got AIDS and got all kind of stuff. But you know what? God was so merciful. God was so merciful and so gracious to me. His grace was extended to me because I have a work to do for God. And turning 67, you know, I'm on my way out. I'm on my way out. I pray that prayer of Hezekiah. I turn my face to the wall and pray that prayer to Hezekiah. Extend me 25, 30 more years, Lord, if it's your will. So the work that you have for me, when my work is done, just let me sit back and say, oh, everything that was done was good. It was done in the name of the Lord and not in the name of Maritha. So just for the day, y'all, just for the day. What a God he is, how perfect in every way. All his promises prove true. And that is so good because God is not a man that can lie. God is not a man that will not lie. There's only one thing in this world, in this universe, that God can't do, and that's lie. And that is lie. And y'all better wake up and recognize who God is, who God is. Special prayer for me, Mildred. We will talk. We will talk, honey. We will talk. You got my number, whatever it is. But you know what? When I get off of here, I'm going. You know, I like going in the bathroom, so I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to wash my face and I'm going to talk to God on your behalf. And you will always be in my prayers when I go to the altar in church. Sometimes when I don't even go to the altar and they have prayer, I don't call out everybody's name because I don't. You know, my mind just ain't that sharp no more to remember everybody's name. But I do pray not. I pray over this channel. I pray for the people that, you know, the ones that are seen and the ones that are unseen. I pray for them as well. I plead the blood of Jesus over. And if somebody's on this channel unseen that is here for a negative reason, I pray for them as well. I pray a prayer of conviction for them. You know, I may not see it, but they'll know this must be that prayer what Miss Marita prayed for me and on me. So I pray all is well. You know, whatever it is, God got it. Dr. Jesus, you will call and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help and he will say, here I am. God is so close to us. He's closer than the air that we breathe. And he ain't gonna keep us. The phone ain't gonna ring no 6, 7 times. We ain't got to leave no voicemail. We ain't got to send no email. We ain't got to text. And he ain't gonna text back 2 or 3 days. God answers prayer. He is a prayer answering God. And his will is going to be done on heaven and on earth, in heaven and on earth. His will gonna be done. So That's all I got for today, y'all. And y'all know what? I wanted to go to the gym today. However, I'm not going to be able because I want to do some laundry. So I'm going to Ulta later on, but I can go downstairs to the workout. And, you know, they say beauty hurts, pain, something like that. So I got to, I have been so complacent the last couple of days. That storm, and I'm trying to justify it, but I can't. That storm just, it did something to my psyche, but I got to get it back together now. I got to get it back together. So y'all pray my strength. You pray for me, and I'll pray for you because that's what we do. That's what we do. So in the meantime, in between time, if and when you see me in these YouTube streets, holler at me, drop me a DM, let me know you're doing all right. Tell me something good. Tell me the goodness what God has done for you. Let's gossip about God. Just holler at me and tell me something good, and I'll holler back and I'll tell you something good that only you and me will know what God done did with us. So peace out, deuces. Bye, and holler at me, and I'm gonna holler back. Talk with you later.